will begin shortly. Your live interactive Weather Authority coverage will begin shortly. Your live Weather Authority coverage starts right now.
Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. The time is currently 2 o'clock, and we're going to talk about Milton, which made landfall last night at 8:30 in the Siesta Keys. So I got a couple of stats and records for you guys. We'll talk more about what exactly happened with Milton. I'll talk about where we saw the largest storm surge, highest wind speeds, stuff like that. If you have any questions you would like to ask about weather, hurricane, or even Milton in general, I'll just drop them off in the comments, and I'll take a look at them at the end of our live. So here's a look at the past 36 hours on our satellite. Milton did make landfall last night at 8:30 p.m. in the Siesta Keys as a Category 3 major hurricane. So let's jump right into our info. So I'll be jumping back and forth with a couple of graphics this afternoon, so just bear with me a little bit. Let's start off right with the track. So did get updated, or I guess downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. Very interesting stuff going on, though. Post-tropical cyclone Milton now with hurricane force winds, which is very strange. I don't think we've seen that at all this season. So still looking at maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. Once it drops to the low 70s, becomes a tropical storm force winds. With that is expected to happen over the next couple of hours into early Friday. So should fall down to a tropical storm force winds by Friday morning at around 8 o'clock. System is beginning to head eastwards, which is also very strange for this time of year in general. Usually storms in the Atlantic and in the Gulf head northerly. This one's just strictly heading eastwards. Already pretty strange. The track before this actually was the first Category 5 storm in the Atlantic to travel southeasterly too. So a very, very strange storm. Lots of damage though. I quickly want to talk about the storm surge though. So I'm going to jump ahead about two graphics. This was the forecasted storm surge for Milton. We're looking at 10 to 15 feet storm surge for the Tampa Bay area. That was the original forecast from the National Hurricane Center, the first ever from the National Hurricane Center. And then when we zoom in closer, it looks more so 10 to 15 feet for Sarasota, down to Boca Grande. If I'm saying that correctly. If I'm not, please correct me. But yeah, so people that lived in Tampa really were worried about the storm surge, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to talk about a little bit what exactly storm surge is. So it's actually it's actually one of the most dangerous, actually, and a leading cause of fatalities with a hurricane. And you guys hear us talk about storm surge a lot, especially with tropical systems. It actually happens when the effects and movement of a hurricane causes destruction to the coastline by pushing seawater inland. Basically, the wind pushes the water right over normal sea level, and the water actually piles upwards. So we talk about 3, 6, even 12-foot plus storm surge. That's on top of the current sea level. So think of a basketball hoop in your local gym. It's about 10 feet. Storm surge bigger than that. So imagine water larger than that hoop coming right at you. It's a lot and very, very dangerous as well. So like I said, we just talked about that storm surge map. Let me go to our next graphic. So Tampa, actually, an interesting thing happened in Tampa because the storm made landfall down in the Siesta Keys, which is just south of Tampa along the coastline. The wind actually sucked all the water out of Tampa Bay. So Tampa didn't see any storm surge, which is very, very fortunate because it was easily could have gone the other way. Sarasota, though, did see, I think I saw about a peak of 11-foot storm surge. So that's 11 feet on top of the water. So lots of water in Sarasota. I was looking at several videos, images online on our social media pages, on Facebook, on X, of a lot of damage already. So I want to talk about a couple of stats. Something that was pretty crazy from this storm as well. You probably saw us tweeting about it or posting on Facebook about this yesterday. The amount of tornadoes. There were so many tornadoes that happened that touched down hours before landfall, which is once again last night at 8:30. I have some of the stats from how many tornado warnings were issued. I think I left that paper at my desk, though, so I'm going to have to go off of memory. About 200 tornado warnings were issued. Those are just tornado warnings in general, so they can keep on getting extended, and that's considered issuing a tornado warning. There were a lot of tornadoes. The National Weather Service offices down in Tampa Bay, Miami, Melbourne are actually going out to survey the damage tomorrow and this weekend. They think that there's a lot of tornadoes already. The graphic on your screen right now are tornado reports. A lot of them were over on the eastern portion of Florida, the East Coast, just because of the bands moving on through, bringing a lot of rotation, some mesovortices, vorticities, yes. So a lot to that region. I think I saw something about EF3 damage. I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on that one, but they are going to survey that damage, and they expect that number to rise in the next couple of days. So National Weather Service in Miami actually issued about 127 tornado warnings. So the almost 200 tornado warnings were the most ever in the state of Florida on a specific day. It actually beat the record of the 2011 tornado outbreak over in the Midwest. So pretty crazy day. In general, I saw a lot of pictures of a vortex or some very large wedge tornadoes. Those are the types that you actually see over in Oklahoma, Kansas. Very, very strange to see those come from a hurricane, especially in Florida. Usually you see the skinny ones that are about EF0 to EF2 at most. So this one was actually pretty crazy in general. So almost 200 tornado warnings were issued throughout the day on Wednesday, once again, hours before that landfall. That was last night. Also, a lot of rain fell, a lot of records. I actually found the storm summary from the Weather Prediction Center of all the rainfall amounts on this piece of paper, all the rainfall amounts from the storm over a 48-hour period, wind speeds as well. We'll talk about wind speeds too. So St. Petersburg had 18.87 inches of rain in over 48 hours. I have another stat too that St. Petersburg had 12.94 inches of that total in 6 hours. Tampa had 11.23 inches of rain in one day, which broke the monthly record for all of October. So October 1st through 31st, that record was broken in one day. A couple more locations. I also know that a lot of people vacation to Florida, especially in the winter. Anyone from the Northeast, you may have a home down there. If you do, totally drop them into the comments. And I would love to I'll look at how much rain you got in that area. So I'm looking at some of your comments right now. Connor asked if any of this rain would be coming to Maine or anywhere in New England. Nope, not at all, actually. It's all moving easterly right now. All right, so a couple more locations. Orange City, 14.18 inches of rain. Clearwater, 12.52 inches of rain. Tampa International Airport, 11.73. So most areas actually had over a foot of rain, which is pretty crazy. Let's take a look at some of this. This map is from the last 24 hours. So it may not be the exact amounts, because I know that there was some more rain before that. Like I said, I'm looking at the 48-hour period. So let's actually take a look at some locations. This is starting to fade out a little bit. 11 inches in Orlando, just north of Winter Haven, 12.4. Just southeast of Tampa, 13 inches. Lots of rain fell in this system. Let me look at some more. Orlando Executive Airport, 6.87 inches of rain. Lake Helen, 15.81 inches of rain. I want to talk about the wind a little bit too. I think we should go to this next. So peak wind gusts, these were pretty crazy. The highest was over 100 mile per hour wind gusts, and looks like this is a wrong graphic. Oops, sorry. In Tampa, 103 mile per hour wind gust. St. Petersburg, 101. Sarasota International Airport, 102 mile per hour wind gust. There's more on the next page. Punta Gorda, 81. I saw some videos from there. It looks pretty devastating. Old Port Tampa, 91 mile per hour wind gusts. Clearwater Beach, 79. Key West International Airport, 59 miles per hour. Let's look at some more. Fort Myers, 63. Venice, 85. I know that Orlando was up in the 80s too. Or McCoy International, so the international airport. Looking at some of your more comments. Something else I wanted to talk about is how this storm was pretty intense. It was the second quickest storm in the Atlantic to become a Category 5 storm. So Category 1 to 5 in 18 hours. So Category 1, 74 to 95 miles per hour. By the time you get to a Category 5, and you guys probably saw the pictures online, pretty intense storm. We're talking more than 157 miles per hour. That's when you get to that Category 5 status. And this was a Category 5 twice. Second time for a very long time. The system also became the fifth lowest hurricane in regards to pressure. It was at 897 millibars. The lowest was Wilma back in 2005. Another one, Rita, actually was a low one too. So this storm was very, very powerful. Something interesting too is at the eye at one point, the eye of the hurricane was 3.8 miles across. The smaller the eye, the more intense and dangerous and strong the storm is. So this was a very, very strong storm at one point. So I want to talk a little bit about its track. So let me go to this. It did make landfall last night, 8:30, as a major Category 3 storm in the Siesta Keys. This actually was about 70 miles south of the original track, but the more recent track of the National Hurricane Center, they were only 12 miles. The landfall in Siesta Keys as a Category 3 was only 12 miles south of the initial landfall forecast from the National Hurricane Center. So they did really good on forecasting this system. I want to talk about the difference between Helene and Milton. One, this also broke a record for days in between major landfalls in Florida. That previous record was back in 1950 at around 40-something days. This has been 13 days. 13 days ago, Helene made landfall, or I guess 14 now. Helene made landfall on September 27th in the Panhandle near Perry, Florida. At around 11 o'clock at night, Milton made landfall on October 9th. And Helene, Category 4, Milton, Category 3. Devastation, though, in both for both events as well. Something else that's pretty interesting is that Milton is the third first major hurricane to direct the Sarasota region and since 1851, which is very, very interesting. It also came pretty close to the 1921 storm. I'm showing another track right here once it loads. The 1921 storm had a path that went right basically a little bit north of Tampa. And that was the last time a storm impacted Tampa, with 1921, so over 100 years ago. And Milton was just about 70 miles south of that one. And they both had the same forecasted surge. I would say peak surge once those final surge numbers come out. I think we'll probably see them this afternoon or later on this evening. So I think that I'm going to show one more graphic and then call it. Let's look at some of your comments. Let's talk about actually all of the local storm reports. Let me load these in for you while I look at your comments. Nicole says she's in Leesburg, Florida. How was it there, Nicole? I'm interested on how it was there, because a lot of Florida actually got these impacts. I was very surprised at the tornadoes. What was going on with the tornadoes? There was a lot. Let me load in some of these right now. Flood, wind, marine, tropical. Let's actually look at some of the storm surge. So these are the local storm reports from the last 36 hours. So ignore the headline. I just edited it a little bit. So let's talk about Fort Myers. A couple of tornadoes there. Some storm surge too. So just south of Fort Myers Beach, there was some storm surge flooding. Does not say how much. Down in Naples, 55 mile per hour wind gusts. Storm surge in Bonita Springs, does not say how much. Let's head more up the coast in Sarasota and just off of Tampa. Largo, flooding resulting in closure and evacuation. Oh, also something to add that this is the most, this storm actually prompted the largest evacuation in Florida since Hurricane Irma in 2017. I want to show you one more graphic before I wrap this up. A pretty interesting graphic. I saw it online. I saw it from another meteorologist further south, but I thought it was very, very interesting. You may have seen it if you tuned in the ARC Maine yesterday, even this morning too, or CBS 13 at noon, or any time on Good Day Maine, you probably saw this graphic. So major Gulf hurricanes in the last 7 years, we updated it this morning. There were 9 major hurricanes that made landfall in the last 7 years, but as of today, or as of last night, it's now 10. So here are all the major hurricanes that made landfall in the last 7 years. Harvey was 2017. Irma was also in 2017 as a Category 4 the last time Florida had this large of an evacuation. Moving forward in time, in 2020, Zeta up in Louisiana and Laura, Category 3 and 4. In 2018, Hurricane Michael, the only Category 5 storm on this list, made landfall in the panhandle of Florida. 2022 was Hurricane Ian, Category 4. Idalia, 2023, Hurricane Category 3. Let's see which ones I've not said. And then Helene, Category 4, 14 days ago, so 2 weeks now. 2 weeks ago this happened. Milton was last night as a Category 3. So the Gulf's getting pretty popular the last couple of years, especially with major Gulf hurricanes. So I'm interested to see what will happen moving on forward. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. If you have any other questions, feel free to find me on social media, ask me there, send us an email. Here's our email right here, weather@wgme.com. Someone will get back to you on that one. And then we'll have more updates coming up tonight on CBS 13 live at 5. Thanks, guys, for joining, and see you soon.
This has been live interactive Weather Authority coverage from CBS 13 and